This is my heartbeat song and I'm gonna play it. Been so long I forgot how to turn it up, 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 up.
The human heart is responsible for pumping blood throughout the body for gas, nutrient, and waste exchange. Even though the heart contains a percentage of total blood volume within its chambers, the myocardium is too thick for oxygen and nutrient diffusion across its width, and thus requires its own circulation, known as the coronary circulation.
We're going to be taking a look at the coronary circulation, or at least the circulation that supplies the heart muscle itself of blood. And we really only get it from two arteries that are the first two branches off the aorta. If you take a look here, this is the aortic semilunar valve and this is the ascending aorta. First two branches, the right and the left coronary arteries. As you put this one back, as you can imagine, the right and left coronary arteries continue their kind of extension onto the myocardium. Here's the right, kind of goes a little long ways before it branches, while the left is here before it splits quite shortly into the other two. The right is very simple, just goes into what we call the marginal, and if I kind of flipped it, it becomes the posterior interventricular branch. You can see this one coming across, and that's the posterior interventricular branch. While the left one becomes the anterior interventricular branch and the circumflex. We name these when they continue to branch, and I know there's many other ones and different names for some of these, like the anterior interventricular branch is also known as the left anterior descending, or LAD. If you know the arteries, the veins become very, very simple. All three of the veins that we need to describe are considered the cardiac veins, and we have the great, middle, and small. And so when we have the small, it travels along with the marginal branch, kind of comes along with the right. So that's the marginal branch here. The posterior interventricular travels with the middle, so this would be considered the middle cardiac vein. And then the great cardiac vein travels with essentially the extent of the anterior interventricular and the circumflex. So this is all the great cardiac vein as you kind of spin around. All three of them will dump themselves into the very, very large coronary sinus. As you can see, it's quite large here.
How do the coronary vessels fill up? During systole, the open aortic semilunar valves block the entrance to the main coronary arteries. During diastole, the backflow of blood in the aorta flows into the main coronary vessels, now accessible as the aortic semilunar valves are closed. Myocardial ischemia is an insufficient blood supply to the heart. This is usually caused by coronary heart disease and results in decreased oxygen to the myocardium. A decreased level of oxygen to the myocardium prevents aerobic respiration from occurring. Without aerobic respiration, cells produce ATP through a more inefficient process called anaerobic respiration. A byproduct of anaerobic respiration is lactic acid production, which builds up in the bloodstream. This lactic acid buildup in the heart causes the burning sensation in the chest region known as angina pectoralis.
I've got coronary heart disease, no loud noises. If you please, I'll be on my way to a slightly premature judgment day.